Okay. Good morning and welcome, you amazing human beings, guys. It is Pounds for Breakfast. My name is Dave Van Us. It is Tuesday, the 6th of December, and still those December vibes are kicking in. I can see everybody sort of gearing down for holiday, sort of planning what it is they're going to do. I'd love to know in the comments down below, what plans do you guys have for December? Are you working through? Are you going to invest some time with your trading? We know what's your plans. Are you going to spend some time with friends and family? Let me know in the comments what your plans are. I would love to hear from you guys. Just a massive shout out to all of our members: Wylan, Alvin 4C, John, Lana, Goodwin, Shamim, Monitz, Ruan. I see Rif Chua in the house, Darlene Shaw, John, Tyler. Yes, welcome to every single one of our members. Again, if you'd like to be a member, down below is the join button. If you are watching us on an Apple device, that join button might be hidden, right? So you might need to watch with an Android device, or consider looking at that on a Windows-based PC. So yes, December time is kicking in. Again, as always, a lot of people tend to kind of not pay attention to the markets in December. However, you'll go back, and if you have a look, you'll see there's a ton of opportunities for us in the markets. As I explained yesterday, next week is our big week from a fundamental data perspective. We are going to be seeing a ton of volume in the market next week. This week is going to be a little bit more calmer. This week is really going to be price action all the way. Now, again, if you're a Globex 360 client and you have a Premium Plus account, meaning you have more than $1,000 in your live accounts, if you head over to the Globex 360 website, log into the client area, you'll see that we've got some really great trades. Our favorite trade opportunities have been uploaded. So on the left-hand side on your traders menu, you can click there, go into web analysis, and then through the web analysis, you can go and have a look at what trade opportunities we have available. I did see a comment a little bit earlier. What is our thoughts on Bitcoin? We actually have a trade that is uploaded on Bitcoin and where Bitcoin is going in the next couple of hours. So if you want to be a part of that, you want to see that, go ahead and jump in. If your account's not funded sufficiently, then you obviously want to go and fund it and get yourself sorted on that front. Beautiful stuff. Okay, guys, let's go and let's open up the news. Let's have a look at what is happening in the world, what's happening in the markets, and let's move on from there. So we're going to start off and just jumping straight into the news and having a look at what we need to be paying attention to. Now, I do think we're going to have to have a little bit more focus in the next coming weeks on the South African Rand, right? We've sort of haven't paid all too much attention to it, but I do believe it's time. We are going to be seeing a ton of opportunities, right? There's an article in the News 24 Fin 24 section that there's some big changes still coming for the ANC, right? As you guys know, there was those scares, there was those essential media outlets saying that, you know, our president could be stepping down, could be resigning. He's since done a complete U-turn. Now, if you have a look at where the rand risk sits, right, there's a far greater chance there's going to be something negative happening on the rand in the next couple of weeks than there is of anything positive coming out. I can't think of anything or any situation, any data release or point we could be getting that could point towards a stronger rand in the next coming week. So we definitely be paying attention to it. We've got a really great trade I'm going to show you guys that we could be looking at getting long again on the South African rand, as we could potentially see those 18, 15s, even 19 rand to the dollar before the end of the year. But moving on really quickly into European news, we've seen the euro data sort of news headlines really flip-flopping between euro and pound data strength. And again, as I've said previously, you know, between the euro, between the pound, and between the dollar, we're going to see them trade blows, right? And these are all just going to be timing of the different Federal Reserve interest rates, different economic policies coming in. And I think, you know, having one being stronger than the rest, I don't think is going to be, you know, worthwhile trading as a long-term strategic point of view. I do think, if anything, as we discussed yesterday, we could see a weaker dollar into 2023, right? Just look at that dollar strength. So I think, you know, there's a lot of play about euro, pound, and who's where. I really think the big plays here, from an FX perspective, is going to be dollar base or quote currencies. I think that is where the big opportunity sits. So we're going to ignore those headlines for the time being. But moving on into US and other international news, right? There's an article saying that, you know, Wall Street bears are essentially saying it's time to start taking over, right? So I've gone through this and I've looked at the data. But in essence, if we have a look at, right, and this article really goes on about the fact that you know, the stock market's been in this bull rally due to the slowdown in interest rates, but really we have not seen, you know, the US stock markets from the S&P 500 all the way to Dow Jones as well as NASDAQ. We have not seen those gains from, you know, this worst 8 or 10 months of a year that we've ever seen, which has been this year. So I think articles like this, I'm fairly skeptical when I see an article like this that is, you know, extremely wide net. It's throwing a very wide net saying, you know, 2023, we're going to see, you know, massive bear markets for stock markets. Again, if you look at the strength of the dollar, there is a greater potential for the dollar to start backing up off of these extremely strong levels that the dollar's pushed into, right? Because of these interest rate announcements. So again, next week, right, that will really set the tone. If we see that 50 basis point hike comes in with Papa Powell set to give us that interest rate announcement next week, if we see that 50 basis point come in and we see that the market, stock markets respond to that favorably, which I believe that they will, we will also then potentially see a weaker dollar. If that is the case, that gives us a better tone as to what we could expect for 2023, right? I think sometimes these analysis that look at, you know, the whole of next year, this is what we could see. It's very rarely that economists are able to predict a whole year in advance, right? So again, that's the great thing about being in the markets, is that, you know, we can speculate from a day-to-day basis, from a week-to-week basis. We don't have to be holding, you know, these year-long positions, which you would have to do if you're investing in a traditional way, right? There's no way to short these markets. In the past, you had to just invest into the S&P, invest into Dow Jones, and just hope it goes up, right? That's the beneficial and the beautiful thing about being a trader, is we can take either side of that coin. So again, interesting article to read, but I'm not taking too much of it to heart again, because the main focus is going to be on the interest rate announcements that are going to be coming out tomorrow. Now, moving into some of that fundamental data, and just before we have a look at the economic data map for today, I do just quickly want to touch on the S&P 500. And as you can see, pretty much red across the board. So again, if you're with us yesterday in the session, we shorted out US 30, right? We got the positive US data. We shorted out US 30. We had a massive spike towards the downside. There was a retracement. I held that, even though it did make a pullback, and then continued that trade all the way into last night. So we had a really great start to the week, a really good Monday. We want to obviously continue that trend and see how far we can continue that trend into this week. Some very interesting price action. I'm going to show you guys this in a second. But now getting into the actual fundamental data, have a look at the economic calendar due for today. The big items, right, that essentially are due is going to be the pound construction PMI data coming out at 11:30, which is just over an hour and a half from now. Again, the South African rand's got some GDP data, gross domestic product data. This could have a little bit of a net effect on the South African rand. There is a expectation that GDP is going to grow for this quarter. Now remember, they're reading Q3 data, and that will essentially represent the last quarter. We're currently already in Q4, right? So it's past data based on Q3. So again, this will be interesting to see. I think if anything here, if they miss this expectation, obviously it's going to be bad for the rand, and there might be some buy opportunities on the USD ZAR that I will show you guys in a second. But looking to the rest of the day, we have pretty much concentrated events that's going to happen in the Canadian dollar. So IBPMI, Purchasing Manager Index, as well as the Australian dollar. We're going to have a Reserve Bank of Australia rates statement. And then we have an EIA short-term energy outlook. Short-term energy outlook will affect crude. It will affect other commodities such as gold and silver. So if you're a big commodity trader, that 7 o'clock announcement may be quite important to you. If you're interested in the Australian dollar interest rate statement, may be interesting to you. And then again, if you're trading the Canadian, then that PMI data will be interesting to you. And those would be the main items you would need to obviously just give it a little bit of a focus on. Right. So we have some really interesting trades currently sitting in our back office. As I've said, if you are a Premium Plus client, meaning $1,000 or more in your live trading account, you have access to all of our smart analytic tools, right? Sitting right here in your back office. So again, more than $1,000, the system automatically grants you access. And you'll see here on the left-hand side, you'll have access to these market insights, right? And it'll be either web or email analysis. And our favorites is generally where we upload and have all of these amazing opportunities. As I explained, there's an opportunity for Bitcoin to hit that $17,152 per coin mark in the next little bit. Ethereum, there is a probability of the next 7 days for a little bit of a downtrend. But for today, primarily, I'm quite interested in having a look at AUD/USD. If we start to see this wedge start to break over the next couple of days, we could see a pullback here of, a couple pips towards that downside. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting. We might want to give this one a little bit more focus on what we currently are, and that's going to be pretty interesting. NZD/USD, topside break, highly probable, and I'm not going to spend too much time on indices because I have an idea of what's going to happen there. But we can see on Dow, there is an expectation of the next 4 days, we could push even further down to that 33,607 mark. So pretty interesting times. And again, if you have access to the system, it is amazing, right? It emails you as and when opportunities are diagnosed. This Dow US 30 trade came in around about 10 o'clock last night. And as you can see from last night, we've obviously had a substantial push continuation towards that downside. So again, amazing opportunities for you to take advantage of. Now, we're going to start off this morning just having a look at the dollar index in terms of what has transpired over the last little bit. So we've covered some of those fundamentals. Time to get into IFX analysis. And we're going to just basically jump into the dollar index. And let's have a look at where the dollar index is sitting in relation to where we were yesterday. Okay. So as we discussed yesterday, this was something we traded live in our dollars for lunch session. If you want to get into the premium or premium plus shows, you need to have a minimum of $100 in your live accounts, right? So we looked at this breakout opportunity. This breakout opportunity is what we took advantage of based on some of that dollar fundamental data. Dollar data came out positive, and we got that spike, that breakout towards that top side, right? That gave us an opportunity to short US 30 yesterday afternoon. So I'm going to jump straight into US 30. We're going to start off with indices and then move in onto the FX side. Now, I think this is pretty important for us to just look at here. US 30, maybe just a quick recap of where we were yesterday. I think it'll maybe help a few people. But ultimately, this is where we were yesterday from a US 30 perspective, right? US 30 was sitting in a little bit of a channel and essentially testing the waters for that downside move there, right? New York Stock Exchange opened slightly higher. We did not take a position on the slightly higher move. There we go. We simply waited for markets to reveal their plan, reveal their action, right? We took a short at Q2, right? That short ultimately resulted in profit. And then we received that 5 o'clock fundamental data, which then spiked a further 1,300 pips towards the downside. US 30 subsequently built back up, and again went straight back to a liquidity, a supply demand zone from a liquidity perspective, where we would have set our stop loss above, right? So again, stop loss is not where you want it to be. A stop loss has to be where a stop loss has to be, not where you want it to be. Remember, markets are going to try and find the place with the most liquidity where it will run to, and then fill those orders, create liquidity, and then turn around, right? So in most cases, the reason why trader stop losses get taken out is they're putting it in an obvious place that markets have found liquidity. So you always want to look at resistance. If you're selling, you want to look at resistance 1 as your bare minimum, 2 and 3 being the next available options from a stop loss perspective, right? Just a little bit of a side tip there. Anyways, markets then broke down substantially from last night and pretty much fell towards the downside substantially. But if you have a look at where we are now, we just project that channel that we were trading yesterday. You can see that we are for the first time starting to break out of this channel. Now, again, this is quite an estimation because we're forecasting quite a bit. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a long shot here because we're obviously dealing with projecting quite a bit of market structure into the future. But very clearly, we can see we've got that little bit of a breakout. I would like to get through the 500 period SMA this morning. We have quite a bit of volume right here in this area. Okay, so if we can get through the 500 period SMA for the start of this London session, that would be a really great trade to potentially hold all the way into New York Stock Exchange. The only thing, just to side note here, if you're looking at going long on USDT, is that you're more than likely going to have to look at a stop loss that creates a new market structure. Something similar, I would say, you're going to have to just look at protecting yourself in the following manner. Because remember, if we break through, we're going to be breaking through into resistance. You're buying into resistance. A pullback or retracement may very well follow very, very shortly thereafter. So again, that'll be a scalp. So again, you might get a small push up for about 100 pips and then a pullback down for about 250, and then holding it to obviously have a look at, can that breakout continue towards that top side. So we are making a little bit of a push there. So I will jump in. I'm going to pop in a little bit of an order here, and let's see what we can get out of this one. So I'm going to pop in a little bit of a buy there, and again, I'm going to utilize this level here as my stop loss, and I'm simply just looking at riding out this push to the top side using this London volume to try and see where we can go to. So ideally, we want to reach about 200 pips before we start looking at a trailing stop. So I'm going to essentially utilize here for this morning session a 2,000 points trailing. That'll give me a 200 pip trailing stop. Remember, for every 10 points, it's 1 pip, right? So that's what I'm looking at currently for US30. Now, moving on to USD ZAR, because I find there's going to be some interesting opportunities here. USD ZAR, if we have a look at the structure here, I've shorted out this particular market here, right? For the reason being that we have quite a bit of volume here. We made a push out. We failed to get above that zone. We made another push and we failed to get out of the zone. And I placed this trade probably about 20-30 minutes ago as a feeler just to see what's busy happening. But ultimately, we're still going to have quite a bit of volume and volatility on the South African rand, right? That is something we have to definitely pay a little bit of attention to. Now, we can clearly see we had this impulse to the top side. That was on the first, and we've started this corrective process. So at the moment, we have to understand we are in a bear market, right? So short opportunities are going to be more valid in this period than any other period, but there's a ton of risk towards the top side, right? So anything goes wrong, anybody resigns, whatever the case may be, you're going to see a ton of movement towards that top side. And I just want us to be aware. I just want us to be prepared. I feel the level that we really need to be monitoring across the board is going to be this red level here, and it's going to be fairly broad. For the reason being, there's quite a bit of volume and liquidity in this market around this level, but we have a fairly big spread here that we need to cover, right? So we're looking at this whole level, 17 Rand 57 to 17 Rand 49, right? So that whole 8 cent spread there, or difference there in that market structure, that's going to be something I'm really looking forward to trying to see, can we get long on the South African rand volatility, right? Now again, any US data can aid us in this manner, but again, just looking towards next week, right? So I just want everybody just to be aware of this. If Powell comes in with that 50 basis point hike, right, that's going to be weak for the dollar. The dollar's going to have a bit of weakness. Stock markets are going to love that. So just be aware, if we break prematurely, so let's say we break this 17 Rand 55 mark in the next couple days, maybe by Thursday, let's say we break that. We obviously just have to manage our risk accordingly so that by the time we get the interest rates announcement from Powell, we need to have stop losses covered into entry, right? Again, because if we get that strong dollar information, that would aid a sell, but I don't think we're going to get that. I think we're going to get a weaker dollar with a lower interest rate, right? 50 basis points or 0.50 from base interest rate increase, softer dollar, better stock market. Softer dollar in this particular case or this particular trade will then cause USD ZAR to be in a position to to continue selling off, right? We are looking for buy opportunities because we're looking for those breakout opportunities. So you can treat that one as you may and as you wish. Another opportunity that, again, we spoke about yesterday that I think is going to be key and crucial. One of our favorite trades. We have not uploaded this one as yet, but I'm looking at, and as we discussed yesterday, gold currently, this is gold, and this is a 30-minute time frame. Gold pulling back down to that 78.6 or 61.8 fib level. I've already taken a 61.8 trade, right? But I'm looking at gold retracing back down deep. The deepest I want to see gold pull down to is at $1,760 to an ounce of gold. Should we get into that level, then that would be a great opportunity for us to start looking at getting long. Now, markets have stalled out on gold right here at this level, but unfortunately, this is just going to be due to a little bit of an indecision from a dollar perspective. A continuation on a dollar gain here would then cause that gold sell momentum to get a little bit further into our deeper zone, and then ultimately a sell-off on gold. Sorry, a sell-off on the dollar in line with next week's interest rate announcement. A sell-off on the dollar will cause gold to spike. Now, I would like to have got gold in an order here. Would like to get in that $1,760 and then be in a position to take off massively towards that top side. Just having a look at some of the comments from our members in the chat. Monit's saying, I'm going to be home alone trading this festive season. Monit's, we have a really great surprise for you guys. It's going to be coming in the next little bit once we re-establish the studios. Some amazing content that's going to keep you busy, allow you to sharpen your skills, allow you to take your trading game, your analytical game, your preparation, your mental, your psychology to a whole new level. So if you are available, guys, this December, you've picked the perfect December to take some time and look at trading, investing in that time together. Let's just read some of the other comments. Jamila saying, good morning, family. Lucky saying, good morning. Alvin 4C. Yeah, USD came out, took my stop loss, and then dropped. So sad. Lana saying, I'm happy I took $334 profit on US30 last night. Well done, Lana. Let's see here. Lucky saying he took $235 on US30. Well done. And Tyler just saying top stuff. Lucky, well done. And yeah, Lana just saying thanks, Tyler. Beautiful stuff. So those are going to be the trades I'm going to be most focused on this morning. Looking for entries, looking at gold specifically, looking at USD ZAR, looking at US30. Those are going to be my main focuses, over and above the fact of all the other trades we've already uploaded into our favorites area in our back office. So again, you want trade opportunities delivered directly to you with market structures and a better understanding. Then again, there's no better place to be other than Globex 360. Get those accounts topped up. Make sure you reach the minimum requirements of that $1,000 so you can go and access all this amazing information. It's just sitting there, a wealth of information sitting in your back office, accessible at your fingertips at any time of the day or night. So just some really, really good stuff. Lee Fun Skolko saying, I'm ready for the academy. Lee knows what's happening. Lee has a little bit of a hint as to what's happening there. We're super excited. We believe that is going to be a massive game changer. And that's why we're just putting in so much effort into this, because we want it to be timeless. We want it to serve the whole of 2023. And there's a lot of thoughts and effort going into what will we be trading in 2023. It's not vanilla. It's not general. It's not this is a chart and this is how you trade it. It's really getting deeper into strategies, right? As you go up, right, through the syllabus, it really starts to break things down on a whole level that we've never released to the public before ever. It's by far the most detailed academy we've ever produced or ever released. And the amazing part is, by being a Globex 360 client, it is absolutely free to you, right? Depending on your account size, we'll get you different academy access. So again, there's another 1,000 reasons why there's no better place to be other than Globex 360. So I've got a little bit of a buy opportunity that is stuck in there on gold, as I've said. But more importantly, we have quite a few different opportunities we are focusing on, right? ZAR being one of them, as well as US30 being another one of them. So US30 has pushed out into profit. Again, as I explained, we are pushing into resistance. So a pullback can be expected. So in order to take this trade, you may want to, take your profit now, even though it's not a ton of profit. You might be in 100 pips of profit, but ultimately, you may want to look for a pullback. But for me, my entry point is sitting above this 500 period moving average. So if you're on that one, you're on profit, then obviously just a real quick celebratory well done, because you are already in the profit. But again, we know this trade can develop into a much bigger trade situation over the coming days. And that's what we really want to be in and or involved in. Again, there's a ton of really good opportunities in the back office. Again, for those who asked about Bitcoin, there is a really great trade that is just sitting there waiting for you. So if you want to go check that out, make sure you obviously are sorted out and you have your accounts and you are sorted out. So again, that opportunity to punch into that zone was what we're looking at. And if you have a look at where we are currently going, we have that ability to punch back into that 17,155, which is just above us. You'll start to see there's a bigger market structure that is playing out for the price of Bitcoin. The only issue that I see with Bitcoin is that we need to maintain support. We need to maintain this current structure, right? If Bitcoin loses momentum in this little bull market, right, it's going to be tickets. So you can just simply draw this out on a 1 hour time frame. If Bitcoin loses momentum here, you obviously want to start looking at getting out of these trades or start looking at short opportunities. Just bear in mind, in the past, Bitcoin has projected through support anywhere from $80 to $100 minimum, right? So if you are taking a trade here and you're looking at a long, please just remember those past projections through support in and around the region of about $80 to $100, and that should keep you sorted. That should keep your risk management on point. But outside of that, guys, listen, that's all we have for this morning. This afternoon's New York Stock Exchange, we expect more volume to come into this market, and I'm pretty excited for this afternoon's New York Stock Exchange. Again, this week is about greasing the wheels, doing housekeeping, price action, getting in a position where you have 20, 30, 40, 50% of your accounts available to look at next week. Next week's going to be big. Next week's going to be massive. We are setting up the new studio next week, so we will have a lot of downtime in between, but we will be in a position to live stream all of the important items. And again, this is going to be a premium plus feature. So if you want to catch the CPI, if you want to catch Powell's interest rate announcement, these are all going to be premium plus features. So you want to make sure you have a minimum balance of $1,000 in your live account. Lana knows where it's actually saying, remember, hit that button. That's what it's all about. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon if you don't want to miss a new upload. Guys, outside of that, you know the drill. Be safe, trade safe. And as always, remember to do things the Globex 360 way. Premium clients, I'll see you guys at 4:15 as we take on and dominate the New York Stock Exchange as we always do. Until then, much love. Goodbye.